Phoenix, and today is hopefully going to be the first debut of a series that I want to make, where I go through a ton of my old characters and I redesign them for my current series that I'm trying to write. This is one of the most, staple characters to me. Her name is Erin Crow. I'm very excited. She's probably going to end up with 4 videos of her own. That's kind of my plan right now, if I can commit to it. Because the way my writing world is happening is she has her timeline where she's the protagonist and she's mortal, and then the current timeline where she's a deity, a goddess, an avatar, if you want to say. She just basically embodies, death, the occult. I call it specifically the abstruse, and the definition of abstruse is difficult to understand and obscure. Some synonyms are arcane, esoteric, complex, mysterious, incomprehensible, so anything that can't really be explained by science, she's kind of the embodiment of. And I have a lot of old sketches here that are just from a range of sketchbooks, and I kind of have I kind of want to make 4 designs for her. 3 are going to be the progression of her in her timeline, because I'm a very big fan of having characters change their design slightly through different arcs, or, when they have character growth or they have something happen to them traumatically, and something changes their design. Like Finn losing his arm, and then he gets, the grass arm, the flower, the metal arm. I know Amity from Owl House, she, changes her hair quite a few times in the series. Same with Luz, I'm pretty sure. And you see the kids grow up through Owl House. I think they did something similar in Amphibia, but I'm a big fan when cartoons show that the character has been changing and growing rather than just having one static design. But that is more consistent within serialized content rather than episodic. When it's episodic, usually the characters don't change much. Her series is serialized. I haven't written much of it, but I do have a base idea of her character, and honestly, this series is just to kind of get me back into, character designing brain, because it's been a long time since I've dealt with characters, beyond, D&D. So this first part is just going to be me giving you a tour of all her old art, explaining some of the design ideas, some of her character inspirations, and just kind of explaining what my intentions with her were, but I really couldn't pinpoint what I wanted her to be when I was younger, so there's a lot of different... Okay, so I just, have... It's all sketches, unfortunately. On one hand, this is good because it's a lot of concept art, and it's a lot of stuff that I wrote down really fast, or I drew really fast to get the idea down, but it sucks because I wish I had access to more digital art of her. Because she was one of the first characters I started drawing in Clip Studio Paint when I got that. And Clip Studio Paint is my favorite program to draw in, by far. I guess I just lost it, because I had a lot of unreliable technology when I was younger. So I guess I just lost it. But this series is going to have multiple characters, hopefully, and she's probably going to have 4 parts, because we have 3 different arc designs that I planned for her. This first part, I don't know if this is going to be an episode in of itself, like a video in of itself, depending on how long this is, or if I'm going to have one part, like an intro, where I'm going through these sketches, and then we have an arc 2, then we have arc 1 design, and then we'll do, another video. But this is going to be, a mini-series, I guess, hopefully, if everything goes right, because this is new. So I'm just kind of going to get started, I guess. We're just going to go down. I think this row is specifically, I put this in a row because this hat. She was a character that I wanted to be a witch. She studied dark magic, and that kind of led her into being the Grim Reaper, or, a death goddess. It was always very confusing, because death goddesses are different than Grim Reapers, but they were the same to me when I was younger. I'm gonna go ahead and just say death goddess, because that's what she ends up being. So you can see here, it's kind of like a little like half comic where you can see another character saying, Erin's the Grim Reaper. I would have never guessed it. The character talking, his name back then was Rex. It was her love interest, kind of frenemy, to enemies situation. You can kind of see his design there. He was very heavily inspired by Dan Avatar of Game Grumps. I don't know why, but that was just my way of designing characters. Was I really like this YouTuber. OC do not steal, you know? So this was her kind of like having an alternate, identity kind of idea where she was, I'm just a little witch that does my potions in my cabin. And then she goes out and she like reaps souls, I guess. I don't know. Like a jiu-jitsu sorcerer kind of, but she had a mask, so it's like, ooh, no one knows who the Grim Reaper is. I need to be a Grim Reaper. You see some cross-hatching. She always has like this I really like this hair design for her, where it like has that like, I think this was specifically supposed to look like a crescent moon, and then she has like this little jagged like, little jagged shape. Like this jagged shape. I played with a lot of jagged shapes because Game Grumps' artist, Crooked Glasses, did a lot of sharp angles in her line work and her like designs and stuff, and I really liked that. So I tried to replicate it in my own art, and you can also see a little bit of like My Hero Academia influence because I think Deku was a very big character inspiration for her. So she's kind of like was a character with a big heart of gold, and she, it was kind of like a concept where souls that didn't pass on were like rampant in the mortal world and causing a lot of issues, like poltergeists, demons, whatever. So she felt really responsible because she was a mortal that could see these spirits messing with people, and she felt responsible to do it because no one else could see it. She was like a very quirky character. As you can see, there's more of that kind of like moon angular shape. Snatch. That's her hat. I had this concept of like a hat, a little witch's hat that could have like little expressions. And I could have little expressions, kind of talk to her. I forget what the exact inspiration for that was. I forget why, but I just thought it would be really good for her to have like a fun little companion, because I think that was really common in a lot of the cartoons I was watching and stuff. And I thought like having maybe it was the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter. Yeah, as much as like we don't fuck with Harry Potter and stuff like that. But I think maybe that could have been one of the inspirations. So it was a talking hat, and he kind of had an attitude. He was a little bit more pessimistic. He was a little bit of like, she was very optimistic, sometimes not really taking into account threats and stuff, and he would be kind of the logic. So here I think he's like, what the hell? And she's all flustered because I'm assuming Rex was smiling, and I always liked the idea of her being like, oh my god, he can smile? And I liked his design because it was very, I tried to give him horns, like a horn design in his hair, to kind of hint that he was a demon, I think? No, I can't believe I forgot this, because this is his current, I don't want to say an original race I made, but he's draconian, which is an actual word, and the word definition is like very cruel, very aggressive or something, but they were basically dragon folk, specialized in mining gems, stones, etc., etc. Very basic for like dragon concepts. So I try to give him like little horns, and here you can kind of see like, oh, you saved me? That place looks nice. She was very like, they're both, flustered, and their love interest. Here you can see them standing next to each other. I do not know what's going on. I was very loosey-goosey with a lot of sketches and stuff. I don't know what the fuck this sand shit is. They don't suspect anything. Good. This is him kind of working with the supposed villain, I guess. And she finds out, she turns into Sans from Undertale, I guess. And he's, I was caught. And, are you effing kidding me? And she's super betrayed. I guess this is some weapon concept where one side destroys, one side creates, because she was very much inspired by Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug. So I try to, I guess, give her both Plag and Tiki's concepts. This is just a cute little sketch of her in Snatch. Here you can also see the big crescent moon in her hair as a shape. This is one of the more detailed sketches. This is kind of cute. Her Snatch, a little skeleton man. I think I wanted to give her like little skeleton lackeys that she can spawn, because a lot of her magic was inspired by necromancy. Hat is alive. Snatch is alive. I like Snatch for a name for the hat. Here's her being all bubbly and, Rex being an angry bastard. So I think a lot of up there, I try to organize them, but it's been a while since I organized this canvas, so I forget, like, what rows, but I think this was specifically with Snatch. This, you can see more of that jagged, like, other hair, where the left bang is moon-shaped, and then she has a really jagged one. This is another character. His name's Nova. So, he was another love interest because I watched a lot of harem and like reverse harem animes, I think, like Fruits Basket and Oran High School Host Club. So I always, like, when I was younger, when there would be a love interest, there had to be multiple. Very, very like that. So it's, this is to show a contrast between her and Nova, where he's very delicate, noble, I'm royal, I'm delicate and elegant and things like that. And she's all like flustered and she's like, sorry, I'm not a good dancer, because he's the nice one, he's the calm one. And then he's all irritated and like the tsundere where he's like, I don't like you. He's like, you keep stepping on my feet. And she's just like, oops. But she doesn't care. I think this is a human version of Snatch, where, and I won't let you pass over anymore. I think maybe this is when I was developing it as an isekai, where there was the spirit world, and then there was the human world, which she's from, and she passed through. And I guess she passed through a lot to guide souls to the spirit world, and, every time she did it, it would take and deplete a little bit of her mortal energy, so she would die. I think this is a human version of Snatch. Kind of messed up. There's like a scar on his neck that would insinuate a decapitation, and then a hole up here that would also insinuate being shot in the head. I don't know what I was thinking there. This is a little bit more rendered of a sketch. I had gotten black, like a grayscale set of Artist Loft markers. I was really excited because alcohol markers have always been one of my most favorite mediums to work in. So you can see, again, more of that like little jagged bang that I really want to I want to incorporate it into at least her early designs for like arc 1. And you can see braids. She always had braids. And I think that was specifically inspired by Rapunzel and Marinette's hair, where Marinette had two pigtails. Rapunzel has the big braid. And I was like, oh, well, I want to give her pigtails, but I don't want to make her look too much like Marinette because she has dark hair. I think I was trying to make her Asian inspired. I think literally I wanted to make her half Asian and half French like Marinette is. So here's just some more sketches of her. Her hair right there is actually really cute. I like the proportions here. I think this was a little bit Vivzy Pop. I don't know how I feel about that, but you can see her hair more there. I keep talking about her hair. I really struggled with her outfit. I could never get an outfit for her that I liked, because I was never pinpointing a time frame, because it was modern times, but then the spirit world was kind of like a medieval fantasy, but I didn't play D&D. So I didn't really know a lot about medieval fantasy because I didn't like take in a lot of media that was medieval fantasy except for like Tangled. So, like, now if I approached it, I would probably be a lot more confident in the world building and what to give her for clothes, because I know a little more, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon would give me a little bit more help with, like, designing her. And this is her when I had her be an intern at a company ran by Nova in the mortal world that monitored spirits, and she became an intern because she needed, like, a grown-up job, because that was a big thing, where, like, she was early 20s, you know, it was, you need a real job, you need to get a job, you know, you can't just study this magic. Her father was very against the magic because her mom was the one that brought the magic blood to her, and then her father was just a human, and he was terrified of it because, to his knowledge, the magic is what made his wife disappear. Why she disappeared, I don't actually have an answer for that. But I guess this is her in her office uniform. He's like, oh, she's cute. Of course, Rex is looking away. I don't like that hair for him, or what? Yeah, right there, Nova's all, like, blushy, and he's in his suit, and he's like, oh, damn, she's a cutie patootie. I kind of like the short hair, like, the bob. I think the bob's gonna be, like, part arc 2. I have a Pinterest board where I kind of explain how I want her hair to change, because that's one of the easiest ways to change your character design, to show them changing throughout the series, is their hair. Hair color, hair cuts, you know, so I kind of like the little bob. Okay, so we're in this is the design where she had a little bob, I think up here 2019. So I think this was, up here, I think this is like 2018, this design. And then this is 2019 more. I call upon the ravenous spirits of hell, the ones hungriest for revenge to help me fight. Hungriest for vengeance to help me fight. So this is her kind of calling upon spirits, showing that she has a little bit of control. She can call upon certain spirits. Maybe she has, like, a contract with some. That might be really cool if she has, like, some contract with them, but there's obviously some sort of drawback because Rex is like, no, don't do it, and then she's like, or he says it's not worth it, so it stops her from actually, like, spawning demons and spirits. This is an outfit concept. Tried to give her a little bit of, like, a schoolgirl situation. She's got, like, a little ribbon up here. She's got, like, a cute little vest and, like, a collared shirt under. Then this is, like, a little sketch of, like, another casual dress. Can we speak for a moment, Miss Branwyn? Branwyn? Okay. Mr. Kingsley, sure. This is her being, like, really flustered by him. Apparently his last name was Kingsley. Fuck if I know. This is her with her little bob again. You can see the little vest and the little ribbon and, like, little collared shirt. Maybe I could draw from that for her first design, her more, like, innocent design. I don't know. Again, just a little casual sweater with, like, a little collared shirt. And I think it goes into some pants. Very kind of Marinette. Do I know you? Maybe like an amnesia situation. I don't know. Here, she looks evil. Here, she looks badass. Honestly, this looks like, I guess that post-series. So I guess this is them after everything finishes. His horns grew. He's embracing them. You know, his more dragon features. They're in love with each other. She got her little haircut. Okay, so even back then, I was giving her, this is 2018, but even back then, I was giving her, like, a little bob when the series ended to kind of show her character growth. This was when I was trying to develop her as a mechanic, like the daughter of a mechanic, because I always tried to make her the daughter of something casual, something just normal, unexpected, you know, something that you just wouldn't expect the daughter to be magical from, because in the timeline where her human world was like olden times, ye old times, if that makes sense, magic was very bad. Magic was not common for people to mess with. And so if she was found out to be experimenting with that, she would be screwed. So this is like her design is like, oh, I'm a little engineer girl. I do not like the proportions. Actually, I never cared about being the best, just enough to pass by, but now I want to be the best. Shitty shading, truly. I do not like that page. I guess this is another hairstyle I had where she had two long pigtails. It is cute. You know, this is like her being a little more feminine. Little overalls, maybe? So she has little overalls and a little hat. I don't know the reason for the overalls. And Snatch isn't around. This is her kind of like, this is showing like she doesn't have like the best social cues. The food kind of sucks. And then Rex is terrified because it's not someone you tell your food sucks to. And he's like, I'm not with her. I've never met her. You know, kind of showing their dynamic. So I think this is specifically a row where we explore a little bit more of her Grim Reaper side or goddess side or whatever. It was basically, because I was watching a lot of My Hero Academia around this time, that the Grim Reaper persona was more of like a superhero persona or a vigilante persona. I keep looking over here to talk when I need to look over here to try to talk to you guys. So we have here, she's jumping through the air. She was very agile, very light. She's got her scythe. She's got a little cape. It's kind of a jumpsuit situation. And a half skull mask. So it's a different day. I had to end the recording last minute, so I don't fully remember what I was talking about. So I am just going to kind of restart on the second row because I know we stopped here. This is some of the concept art of her being like the Grim Reaper, Goddess of Death, stuff like that. Here, I guess I was just trying to design like her jumpsuit. You know, I give her the long hair that's down, and I guess her human form. I'm thinking this is when I wanted her human form to be more of a farmer, when I was trying to make it more, I don't know exactly, but I wanted it to be more in like an old, like medieval setting. So I think this was me trying to design her as a farmer. So this would be like her farmer uniform. I don't know why, because I know this was supposed to be in a time where kind of like the Salem witch trials, where like witches and magic were like very heavily a subject matter, and it was very like looked down upon. So she wore like this half like masquerade mask that kind of resembled a skull. I kind of like that idea. She had like a half cape around her waist for some reason. Not a big fan of that, to be honest. But I guess her hair being super long made it really hard for me to give her like a cape in of itself. But she had like this jumpsuit. Looks like I gave her like some fun little bell sleeves, long boots. Doesn't really scream Grim Reaper too much to me, just kind of like an inspired like hero, which I can't exactly be mad about, because you know she's I think I was trying to specifically develop arcs for her where she would be adjusting to, you know, using this scythe and the powers it gave her to kind of like fly through the air, kind of like seen here. I guess this is, I'm assuming this is when she got comfortable with it, but this is when she was kind of like new to it and trying it out. And, you know, I guess this is another concept for like her witchy persona. This is a full, like, this is part of a comic that I wrote where she got discovered by the villain, which was Rex's brother. But she got discovered here, and this is a comic where Rex jumps in and kind of like technically betrays his brother because he, you know, has a little crush on Erin, and he didn't know that Erin was the Grim Reaper, we called it, well, I called it the Grim Reaper. He didn't know she was the Grim Reaper, so when he found out, he wanted to like defend her. I was quite proud of this page. This is just a page of a, like, you're a fool to think I'm not prepared for the worst. Her hat was there. I guess this is where I wanted, like, her hair to be cut. So she's kind of, like, crying. And I guess I was messing with, like, different shapes in the eyes because I had, you know, inspiration from an artist that did that. Honestly, like, this is pretty decent, like, anatomy. When was this? 2018. Maybe I'll redraw this piece, because I really like this sketch. You know, her hair got cut in battle. She's raising, you know, some, like, skeletal figures, because this was when I was messing with her ability to, like, reanimate stuff and kind of be, like, a necromancer. And you can see, I kind of designed her suit. She has, like, what mimics a rib cage here. She has this cape that goes down. I think this is supposed to be a zipper. Either the zipper or... I should know this word, but there's like a middle piece to the rib cage that the ribs connect to. I want to say sternum, but I'm not too sure on that. It either mimics that, which is completely the wrong shape, or it's a zipper, a big old belt, because I really like big belts, and I guess it's a jumpsuit, so it kind of like cuts off, and then she has like thigh highs. You can kind of tell my influence right here was My Hero Academia, because Horikoshi, I think it is, had a tendency to design his females with, like, more revealing suits. That was, like, a big criticism he got. Here it is again. You know, little rib cages, big old cape, her hat that we didn't see here. Not Snatch. I guess I avoided Snatch, and we moved on, and I got rid of that. You know, her gloves kind of mimics, like, how the bone... and this arm has, like, the space in the middle. So her gloves are supposed to mimic that. Her tights are all torn up because she, you know, gets run around and she gets, like, caught ragged. Erin, the flashy necromancer, uses jewels to embody souls and bells to call upon the dead. That's actually a pretty cute. That's actually a pretty decent. Not a bad concept. Uses jewels to embody souls and bells to call upon the dead. And then she has, like, potions. I don't know what the potions are for, but maybe this was a different concept. 8/19. There's no date on that one. Here's more of the suit with the braids. You know, she's kind of, that's supposed to be kind of a fighting pose, I guess. This is supposed to show kind of, like, her shyer personality. I'm not a big fan of the jumpsuit. Like, not a big fan of the fact that it, like, kind of cuts off there, but I was trying to make it look like how the professional comic makers look their heroes. And this is the final concept where I have, like, a bunch of her concepts of, like, what her human or, like, daily persona is for everyone that's, like, not supposed to know she's indulging in magic. Here I think she's supposed to be a farmer of sorts. Here she's supposed to be just kind of like a little lady. Super cute. And I guess she has a little crush on Nova here, because I guess that was an arc where she had a crush on Nova. Nova didn't really only liked her for, like, the wrong reasons, and Rex liked her, but she didn't like Rex. So this is just her being, like, a little lady. Like, I had a concept recently when trying to develop her where she was a princess, like a royal elf that was very isolated, so I'm guessing, like, this is kind of, like... She's not a princess, because this looks more modern, but she's high society, I suppose I could call it. Another high society, like, little just, like, lady. I do not think that's Erin. I think I mistook it for Erin because of the shape in the hair, but I think that's actually a sketch of me when I was a teenager. So we're just gonna, like, brush past that. This was pretty cool idea where this is, like, her mechanic uniform, and it can kind of go into, like, a back cape or zip up in the front as a skirt or go up as, like, bat wings to fly down. So I feel like if we were to design, like, a concept of, like, a superhero suit of sorts for her, you can see it better here where it's a belt and it's the cape, and then it would zip in the front as a skirt. We got, like, lace-up Converse, kind of overalls. The mechanic hat. It looks like a swim cap. I didn't draw it well, but she got the goggles, and, like, I guess I would combine these two where the cape would be more wings than an actual cape, and it would kind of zip in the front. I like that idea. And then here, I guess I was trying to do style practice. She's just in a t-shirt, some jeans, and, like, some knee-high Converse again. I don't know why knee-high Converse. I was not good at clothing design back in 2018. I'm coming to kind of realize that. It looks like Susie from Game Grumps, apparently. No, That's actually a pretty good angle looking up. I wish I didn't cross that out, because I still can't draw angles like that. And I guess I was just trying to do more style practice and, like, facial practice, and I guess I thought this sketch looked like Susie from Game Grumps, Erin Hansen's wife. But yeah, that's the full, you know, page and all the concept ideas and, like, you know, phases I went through with this character. It was never consistent, and that's one of the biggest things about my old writing that bothers me, is I was never consistent about what I wanted my characters to be. I was never clear. I would have like 6 characters in one character, and it's so annoying. So I'm really hoping, going through all this concept art, the next episode when we tackle the first arc of what I want her design to look like, that we can make it just a little more clear, make her timeline a little bit more clear. I'll probably have an intro where we sit down and plan, but this is going to be after I post this of just the character tour. I wish I had the digital art for her, because I'm sure there would have been so much more available, but I've lost sketchbooks throughout the years from moving. I've, you know, never had very reliable technology when I was, you know, younger. We did lose a lot, but honestly, I think that's probably for the best, because it would just be too much content. Like, even here, we have like 5 different ideas where she was a shepherd, a mechanic, a farmer, well, the daughter of a farmer, mechanic, or shepherd in the day. But then there's also the modern times that I tried to play with, where she would be an intern or an office worker or god. But one thing that's always been consistent is she's the witch, and she has some sort of link to necromancy, and is either the Grim Reaper or the Goddess of Death, which we've decided she's the Goddess of Death officially. And that's I'll leave you with that. That's like the one thing I know is going to happen. So I'll go ahead, sketch up like a plan for the different arcs. We'll go over that, and the next episode we will sit, and it'll either be just arc 1, and this will be a 4-5-part series just for Erin, which I don't mind. She's one of my favorite OCs, and I would love to just have a series talking about her. I hope you guys don't mind. And yeah, I hope you like this type of content. It's different. But I think it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun looking at my old sketches and kind of seeing, like, trying to remember what ideas I had. And hopefully you guys enjoy it too. Because I know it was just kind of like, look at these old sketches. And I don't know how interesting that is to people. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next video. This one ended up being too long to be like an intro, so this is a standalone video. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Mwah. Bye.